A Microsoft outage that has struck users nationwide, limiting access across the country. Services including major banks and news outlets have been affected by the outage, as well as systems including Gmail, Amazon and Australia Post. Now, the global Microsoft outage is affecting multiple systems, and to get more on this, we have my colleague Vishal joining us. Vishal, many news outlets have been impacted as well. We're talking about airline operations that are affected, users unable to access Microsoft services. We at our office are getting impacted here as well.
That is right, Divya. So as we speak, at least 4 to 5 systems in our office itself, shut down suddenly, and they were not able to restart it. So in the beginning, we thought it's a local problem, but it turns out to be a global outage of Microsoft 365 services and some Azure services as also. So the latest report suggests that some flights in the US and also in India also some flights were grounded due to this outage. However, reports from the US suggest that outage has been resolved. Microsoft 365 status on the X website, X social media also says some of the outage situation has been controlled. But as we speak, there are some latest updates coming in from the cloud of Microsoft that says that impacted services may include but are not limited to Power BI, Microsoft Fabric, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft 365, Microsoft Purview and Viva Engage. So these are some of the services of Microsoft that might have been affected. Microsoft is regularly updating as to how it's trying to mitigate this situation. The latest update from Microsoft 365 status on the X website says that our services are still seeing continuous improvements while we continue to take mitigation actions. So as we've been reporting that they have taken some action and they have been able to counter some of these outages, but the global outage still remains. We are hearing that in India as well some flights have been grounded. We are yet to confirm that, but reports are coming in from all over the globe that this service outage has impacted almost everyone.
Bringing a lot of businesses to a grinding halt. As you mentioned, many flights that we are seeing have, in fact, that is being reported is that many flights in the United States have been grounded because of this outage. Take us through the other sectors of the industry that have been impacted.
So as I mentioned earlier, some of the other services that could have been impacted as Microsoft has been declared on its live page. Some of the services are Power BI, Microsoft Fabric, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft 365, Microsoft Purview and Viva Engage. So these are some of the services that Microsoft provides, and all of these have been affected. And also the Azure medium of Microsoft has been affected. So it seems to be a global outage as we speak, but we'll get you the latest. As of now, the Microsoft 365 status is reporting that services are still seeing continuous improvement. So they have been able to somehow mitigate this, but as we've been reporting, it's a global outage and it still needs to be handled.
Right, from what we're hearing from Microsoft is that, they are trying to restore this issue. They're trying to fix the problem. How long has this problem been going on?
It's been at least the first time it was reported was at least 3 to 4 hours ago. And suddenly airlines were starting to, stop their services, and then newsrooms started getting affected. Sky News from the UK had to shut some of its shows, had to air some documentaries, and in our office also some systems were affected. We thought it was a local problem, as we mentioned earlier, but it's a global outage.
Right. It is a problem that's ongoing over hours, and they haven't been able to fix the problem.
Yeah.
It seems to be a very huge problem that's going on over the last 3 to 4 hours. From what we're hearing from reports coming in, as long as 5 hours, since many systems have crashed across the world. This is a system. Yeah. The Microsoft 365 system is down. This is what they have been putting out those warning signs saying that the systems are down and some users will face issues issues and inconveniences that have been caused. They're regretting those inconveniences while saying that they're trying to fix the problem. Vishal, take us through, we know airlines services have been grounded.
Yes.
We do know that things have, as far as the computer systems at many news outlets have been impacted as well. Let's just also first get our guest in. We have Ankush Sabharwal, founder and CEO of AI and Tech Expert, joining us to get us more on this. Ankush, when was the last time we saw this kind of outage?
I think we had seen around 4 years ago, especially in Mumbai data centers, because of extensive heat in Mumbai. I think the servers were down for around 5 to 6 hours in India.
So, Ankush, from what we are seeing on the internet is that it's at least been about 5 hours since Microsoft has been impacted. What's really causing this blackout?
I don't know. I just came to know about this. I don't know what's the cause of it. But fortunately, we are safe as a company, and all our clients and all our users are safe. We always try to have multiple strategies to for the disaster recovery. If one cloud is not working, we switch over to other. But we had most of our servers, not most, I think majority of our servers are in India, and we have zero impact. I'm not sure whether this outage is for the data centers all over, or it's only in the US. I've seen some reports in the US companies getting impacted.
Back home here as well, we are getting impacted at NDTV as well. We have my colleague Vishal also joining us. Vishal, take us through the areas, the sectors that have been impacted due to this outage that is being reported for almost 5 hours now.
So as I spoke earlier, that systems in offices, newsrooms, everywhere they have been affected. But we are getting reports that airlines are also affected. So we have a slew of updates from the airlines. SpiceJet is saying that we are currently facing a technical issue in providing updates on flight disruptions. Our team is actively working to resolve this issue. So it's all over now. Akasa Air is also updating that due to infrastructure issues with our service provider, some of our online services are affected. So it's starting to spread in India as well. The report suggests that it's some kind of a bug that was involved with the update that could have caused this global outage. However, confirmation from Microsoft is yet to be done. Microsoft is continuously updating on what's been going on and how it's trying to mitigate the situation. As I mentioned earlier, there are several services that have been affected, like Microsoft Teams, Microsoft 365, Azure services also affected, and now back in India, some airlines such as SpiceJet and Akasa Air have grounded flights, have not been able to process requests from their customers because of this outage.
Right, Vishal, is this because they've been trying to update their system, update their Windows, and that is what has really caused this outage?
Yes, so initial reports do suggest that it could be something related to the updates involved. There could have been some kind of a bug that was unintentionally introduced into the systems which caused this global outage. However, confirmation from Microsoft remains, and we have to note the fact that these outages do happen once every year, whether it's Microsoft, some other services, these outages do happen and affect millions of systems across the globe. And generally, these tech companies take some hours before they, resolve these problems. So it's been a couple of hours for us actually. So we'll have to wait and see what actually caused these problems that has affected, millions across the globe.
Ankush Sabharwal, of course, we have seen this outage, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, we've seen this happen in the past. How long does it usually take for this problem to get resolved, and what does one do in these situations?
Yeah, so I think we, though we can be heavy in one service provider, but we should always have disaster recovery mechanism, always have plan B in the technical aspect. So you can have parallel, probably full load capacity failover, or maybe the mini version of fallback. but especially when you have services where millions of people are using it, and because of one service provider, there can be huge impact on financial reputation and so on. So we should not probably be dependent upon one service provider. That's probably the lesson. And again, as I said, I'm not sure about it, but again, even one service provider gives services in multiple regions for disaster recovery. So as I was saying, say we have servers in India, maybe as a backup, few of them we can have outside India. And even in India, there are 2 to 3 data centers from each service provider. So we should take probably multi-region approach so that we can handle our customers in this kind of situations.
Right. So from what we're hearing is whether SpiceJet or whether it's flights in the United States, they've been grounded because of this crash. As far as the Microsoft system is concerned, what does one do in such situations? I mean, this could go on for hours and perhaps even the whole day.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure what is causing and why, especially all major airlines and even saying your services have been impacted. As I was saying, we are safe, and so we also use GCP, Google Cloud majorly, and we also use some of Microsoft services. I'm not sure why. I have checked with my team as well. Nothing is impacted. I have seen few Microsoft services, all are working. I don't know, maybe it's region-wise, or maybe some services. And maybe the airlines, as we know, I think most of them are dependent upon GDS, the global distribution partners, and maybe they have been impacted. And in fact, and then eventually all the service providers who are using one software or one GDS got impacted. Yeah, so sorry, I don't have much details, but maybe we are safe with the kind of strategies which we have taken in past, because we have seen this kind of situation around 4 years ago.
Ankush, there is a statement that's come out by Microsoft. My colleague Vishal has all the details. Vishal, what have they said? What is the reason behind this outage?
So Microsoft is giving the details now as to what could have caused this global outage. So they're saying that configuration change in portion of our Azure backend workloads caused interruption between storage and computers resources, which resulted in connectivity failures that affected downstream Microsoft 365 services dependent on these connections. So I know these words are full of technical jargon, but they have come out and said that due to some updates, due to some configuration changes in their system, this happened, and this global outage was a result of this configuration change. Microsoft has just updated on that. It's on their cloud page. So how they are going to mitigate this problem is what remains to be seen, and we'll get you the latest then.
Right, Vishal, from what we'd heard also is that Microsoft was changing the way it updates its Windows, introducing checkpoint cumulative updates. Could that also be something that's led to this outage?
Again, that remains to be seen as to the exact reason, but they have come out with an initial statement saying that some kind of configuration change in their system caused this global outage, which resulted in grounding of flights across US and now also in India. As I mentioned earlier, airlines such as Akasa Air and Spice Airlines, they have also said that their flights are affected, and urge the customers to be patient as they have not been able to book flights also. Reports are suggesting that. So, and as I mentioned earlier, systems across newsrooms, across offices who use Microsoft, they have all been affected. So it's a major outage affecting millions of people and millions of systems across the globe.
Right. Of course. Let's also just get our viewers that update that's been put out by the airlines. So let's just also talk about SpiceJet, like you mentioned. They put out a message on X saying we are currently facing a technical issue in providing updates on flight disruptions. Our team is actively working to resolve this issue. We regret for any inconvenience caused and will update you once the issue is resolved. Thank you for your patience and cooperation is what SpiceJet has gone on to put on X. And also, like you mentioned, it is Akasa Air, which has also grounded its flights and saying that due to infrastructure issues with our service providers, some of our online services, including bookings, check-in and managing booking services will be temporarily unavailable. Currently, we are following manual check-ins and boarding processes at the airports and hence request passengers with immediate travel plans to reach the airport early to check in at our counters. We sincerely regret the inconvenience caused and want to assure you that our teams are working with our service providers to resolve the same at the earliest. But now we do know what really has caused this outage. It is an outage at Microsoft, which is causing this outage, whether it's flights here in India or it's flights in the United States that are being reported to have been grounded because of this outage by Microsoft. They had said that their cloud service outage in central United States region was resolved after it led to grounding and cancellation, but it continues. Even though they had said that they've kind of resolved the matter, they're now saying that it continues and they are still trying to fix the problem, which is ongoing at the moment. So the report suggesting as of now that they're investigating issues with their cloud servicing in central United States, which has caused that grounding and cancellation of several flights. So many flights that have been grounded because of this technical outage, a major Microsoft technical outage that has hit its operations temporarily. So many industries have been impacted, including news outlets such as ourselves. And to get more on this, we have Ankush Sabharwal with us. Ankush, we have seen these outages in the past, but this has been carrying on for 5 hours now. When was the last time that Microsoft was hit with such an outage?
Yeah, I think the incident which I was talking about because of heat and hot weather in Mumbai, it was Microsoft services which were down. And I think as they have mentioned, looks like their probably object storage has been impacted. So whoever is using object storage of Microsoft, maybe they are getting impacted. And whatever we use, whether it's about maybe booking or any services, the storage is important, right? Whether we store a file or any resource, even image. So I think any online operation involves the resources, and usually we store the resources in the storage, and they are not mentioned what storage. Maybe the object storage can be database as well. So maybe I think that's the reason most of the services being who are using Microsoft are impacted.
Right, global Microsoft outage hits systems. You can call in and express your views here at NDTV. We are facing issues here at NDTV as well due to this outage. What can be the possible impact? Which are the industries that could get impacted with this outage at Microsoft? Ankush.
Yeah, so I think looks like now everyone who is using Azure, because whoever uses Azure, maybe 90% of the users would use storage. I think now everyone, right? So I think Microsoft has large of enterprise customers, SMB customers, even government customers. Looks like everyone would be impacted, but again, it's not the monopoly.
Right, Ankush, what we're hearing is that even hospitals have now been affected by this outage. We are getting news coming in of how the hospitals are now finding, especially patients there, are facing difficulties and issues and inconveniences being caused in hospitals as far as Delhi is concerned. So if you're getting impacted, whether it's at airports or hospitals, do call in and express the difficulties you're facing because of this outage. You can call us here at NDTV. Of course, Ankush, take us through, how long does it take to fix a bug like this? I mean, this is a very huge outage. It's taken hours already. How long does it generally take to fix such issues?
See, in ideal world, if things don't work, they would have tried to do some change, and if maybe that has not worked out, and ideally in software industry and maybe other industries, if things don't work, we roll out our change, right? And it should not take more than few minutes to roll back our deployment plan. And even when we do the roll back, it doesn't necessarily mean we'll bring down our services, because we can do parallel deployments.
Right.
If it's
We
taken,
also have Pallav Bagla of NDTV joining us to get us more on this. Pallav, we're seeing hospitals are getting impacted, airports are getting impacted, basically airlines are facing a lot of issues, the news outlets are facing issues such as ourselves. Which are the other industries that can get impacted by this outage?
Well, all the users who are using 365, Microsoft 365, and also using the Microsoft cloud services are likely to be affected because this is an issue with the cloud of Microsoft. And this is something it is not something which was not anticipated. Anybody who uses a cloud, this is an expected outcome of sometimes when the outage happens. So, yes, many services are likely to be affected, especially where they are using the cloud, meaning the storage is off-site onto a system which is controlled by Microsoft. If you're controlling and storing your systems on your own hard disk, then you don't have an outage. Like my own system is not out, I'm working as normally as I could. I don't use cloud. But anybody who's using the cloud services of Microsoft is definitely affected. And today, many users are now using the cloud services.
Right, Pallav, how long does it usually take to solve such a bug, to fix this problem? I mean, from reports suggesting that it's been at least 5 hours since the United States got impacted. And, there's been a domino effect. Gradually, we're hearing of reports streaming in of the effects it's having.
Well, it's very hard to say, and only Microsoft engineers can tell us what is really the problem and how they are going to fix it. They have a major issue with the cloud, and then they should be able to fix it as soon as possible because today the world is very dependent on both the internet and the cloud services. So they should be able to resolve it swiftly. But then in the world of software and internet and internet technology, it is very hard to say till the solution arrives.
Right. Of course, it is Microsoft who has gone on to put out a statement on its website saying that our systems are currently impacted by a Microsoft outage, which is also impacting other countries. We appreciate your patience. So it is, of course, Microsoft 365, the cloud-powered productivity powered by Microsoft that allows users to make the employees a feature as far as the Microsoft Office software is concerned. So all of them have been impacted, like we're saying. And what's really happening on the laptop is that you see a blue screen. That is what really happens, and your system starts to shut down, and that is what we're seeing in our office as well. It is impacting airlines and it is impacting hospitals back home here in India, but it all started in the United States, where a lot of flights this morning, 147 of the Frontier Airlines were grounded. Other airlines are getting impacted. We've heard from SpiceJet as well as other airlines here back home that are getting impacted due to this outage. We have Vishal with us. Vishal, take us through, what really happens. I was working on my system and suddenly the screen went all blue.
Hello?
Vishal, take us through what's really happening to the system that's getting impacted by this outage.
So it's mostly the cloud computing platforms that have been affected, as Pallava mentioned earlier. Right here also we started witnessing these outages about 2 hours ago when suddenly computers started flashing these blue screens, and even when IT experts tried to help us, they couldn't help, and then later we learned that it's a global outage. Then Microsoft started releasing statements saying that the systems have been affected, and as I mentioned earlier, they have also given some preliminary root cause. I would reread again for the viewers. It says that a configuration change in a portion of our Azure backend workload. So Azure is the cloud computing platform of Microsoft that caused interruptions between storage and compute resources, which resulted in connectivity failures. So this has affected downstream Microsoft 365 services dependent on these connections. So this whole thing is connected to cloud computing, and Microsoft has been giving updates as to how it's trying to face this problem and mitigate the problem. They have also listed out some services that have been resolved, such as Microsoft Defender, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, Microsoft Intune, Microsoft OneNote, Microsoft OneDrive for Business, SharePoint Online, and Windows 365. So some of these services were affected, and now they have been resolved.
Right. Vishal, we also have our first caller, Ravi, joining us to take us through, the inconvenience that's been caused by this outage. Ravi from Bengaluru, thank you so much for speaking to us here this afternoon on NDTV. What are the inconveniences that are being faced by you?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, this is Ravi speaking from Bangalore. The inconveniences are too much, especially for critical services like hospitals, for airline industry. I am here to make another point here, which is a plan B, right? Wherever there are critical services which are involved, like hospitals, like airlines, when we do not have these kind of problems, we'll have to think over and we'll have to find out a plan B so that there is an uninterrupted supply, or there is an uninterrupted services which are offered to the patients, to the people, especially when it is critical, right, in hospitals and other things. So it is high time, whether it is Microsoft or any other service providing company, should think about plan B whenever there are system failures, because obviously system failures will happen, right, because it is all built by humans. So plan B should be executed immediately, and we should not have these kind of 5 hours or 6 hours of outage and then people suffering because of that, right?
Right. We also have with us Vikas calling us from UAE. Vikas, tell us, how does this problem really happen and how long does it take to basically fix this bug?
So this issue actually has happened because, like right now, what we are getting from the updates, that it has came from a company called CrowdStrike. So CrowdStrike is a security company. They install endpoint software in all the devices, by which they monitor all the incoming and outgoing data of the Windows. So what has happened actually, they have pushed some kind of update from their side, and that has basically not worked well with the Windows operating system, and the system has crashed, basically.
Right, because so the problem that's occurred, are you in the United Arab Emirates also facing this issue?
All over, like Australia, America, New Zealand, Singapore, all are facing the same problem. Whoever is using CrowdStrike as the security endpoint, currently, that's the update which we have. That's the rollouting which we are doing. It's not basically a Microsoft issue. It's basically a CrowdStrike issue, what we are seeing right now.
Right, so it's a CrowdStrike issue, and from what we heard was that it was Microsoft that has gone on to put out a statement saying that the configuration change, a portion of their Azure backend workloads has caused eruption between storage and also their resources. So this is what's resulted in connectivity failures. So when there is a connectivity failure, it's across the world, like you're saying, from Australia to the United States, here in India, and all the way in UAE as well. So what are any reports coming out of the United Arab Emirates? What are the services that have been impacted with this outage?
So all the endpoint devices, it's not only the servers or Azure right now, it's also the laptops which are having the endpoint security software as CrowdStrike. They are also down right now. So we have many of the laptops here in our company, because I run myself a cybersecurity company. We are an infrastructure company in UAE actually, and I am the CIO of that company. So most of the clients are calling me, most of the customers are calling me for the same issues, and that's what I checked with our US and other branches, and they all are saying the same thing. The endpoint devices, whatever the devices are, basically Microsoft Windows, because the DLL files which gets the update are Microsoft. That's why only Microsoft devices are right now affected, because the update which they have pushed were only for Microsoft Windows.
Right.
Not Linux, not any other thing, not Google or not any other thing. So
are flights getting
Azure
impacted due to this in the United Arab Emirates?
Sorry?
Are flights also getting impacted in the UAE because of this outage?
If the flights like Emirates and other people, if they are using CrowdStrike as their security system, of course they will get a problem. but till now we don't have any update from UAE. But from Australia, we have the update. Their supermarkets, their airports, their police stations, all are affected right now.
Police stations, supermarkets, all getting impacted in Australia. Reports coming out as because
all, if you can see in the ABC News also, if you can see the article in the ABC News also, all the supermarkets and all the people who are using, all the companies, corporates which were using CrowdStrike as their security systems, right now they are saying they are having this problem. The best thing is like what I have did, I did not start my laptop from like last night. So my laptop is still okay if it is not connected with the internet, so I cannot get the update from CrowdStrike. My PC is working fine till now, but I cannot just connect to the internet. Once I connect it to the internet, the updates download in my PC, it will go off.
So, you're quite an expert in such a situation. How long does it take for such a bug to be fixed, and when was the last time we saw such an outage?
See, in this kind of thing which I have seen for blue screen of death, there is no automatic solution for this one. What I know for this one, like there will be no like someone from Microsoft or someone from CrowdStrike will do something in their servers, and we will, automatically our PCs and everything will be fixed. Someone has to go on the endpoint, boot, like I'm talking something technical right now.
Right.
They have to basically boot from the Windows in a safe mode, remove that DLL file, and then only it will start. That's what I have seen from my experience. Blue screen of death means from Windows level, from machine level, your PC is not booting.
Have you faced a similar situation in your company as well, earlier?
Sorry?
Have you faced such a situation earlier as well?
Yes, it has. When Windows has pushed some kind of wrong updates, but what Windows does, Microsoft does, they don't push the update together to all the systems one time. They do it regional wise, like, for this area for some time, then in other area or in batches, just to see the impact if they are not getting impacted or there is no downside. But what this company has done, they pushed the update together at same time. That's why during this few hours only, everyone is getting the same problem.
Right. We also have Sharad joining us from Bengaluru. Sharad, what kind of an issue are you facing regarding this complete outage that we're seeing? And like our previous caller was suggesting that it's not just here in India, but in the United States, in Australia, in the UAE, everyone getting impacted with this outage.
Yes, I do agree to that. Just now I think his name was Vikas from UAE who was actually explaining it.
Right.
It is actually not, even I don't see that it's a problem because of the Microsoft. Yes, it is because of the CrowdStrike, right? Because, I do work for one of the tech giant in India, and I do have, the clients who are in UAE, Australia, US, Canada, UK, right? And all the clients were also reporting the same problem, where we are the major IT solution provider for those clients. And everybody were getting the same problem. And then when we reached out to the CrowdStrike to report this bug and things like that, they confirmed, yes, it is because of the CrowdStrike. One of the CrowdStrike agents which has failed. I don't know if everybody has gone through, because all of my clients did gone through a recent Windows patches, which also contained in one of the CrowdStrike related updates, which was sometime in the last week. And people who have gone through that patches are facing this particular problem. And it is a major impact. And as Vikas was the last person who was talking to you, as he explained, it was also because of not because of the Microsoft. It is because of the CrowdStrike. And CrowdStrike did acknowledge it when we had reached out to them to explain the current situation.
So, right, millions of Windows users across the globe are experiencing that blue screen of death. This is an error that's causing the system to suddenly shut down. That is what we are seeing on our screens due to this outage at Microsoft. We also have with us, let's just get our Ankush back with us. Ankush, take us through, this issue that is, many across the world are facing. It's just a matter of time before the next person in your office gets impacted by something like this? I mean, we saw a domino effect. One by one, everybody around us was getting impacted. I mean, some of the computers are still working. Take us through, how is it that some computers are continuing to work and some are getting impacted?
Yeah, I think it's maybe because we are using various services, right, to run any operations, and if those service providers are using Microsoft Azure, which have been impacted, especially for the storage which you're talking about, and we would have impact because, right, so currently we have no idea, so right, which of our service providers are using Microsoft Azure. And yeah, so I think again, all of our service providers are the software products which we use widely. They should have some disaster recovery mechanism or plan B, or switchovers or fallbacks, so that they are not impacted and hence we are not impacted.
Right.
So
We also have Pawan Dukal, cyber expert, joining us to break it down for us that, at the moment we're in office and we do know that some of the systems in our office are getting impacted, as are other news outlets that are getting impacted as well. We're hearing of supermarkets, hospitals, airlines, all getting impacted with this outage. Take us through how widespread can this really get?
Well, because Windows are the predominant OS around the world and large number of people use Windows, therefore the possibility of large chunks of the community getting impacted, large verticals getting impacted is going to be relatively high. However, who finally will be impacted or not be impacted will be dependent on what further sequence of events actually evolves. But the fact remains is it a mere glitch? Is it a malware? Is it a spyware? Or is it part of a bigger cyber attack? The chances of this being part of an orchestrated attack is going to be relatively very important for us to consider. Why? Because if this can happen at a global level, please see the kind of panic or fear or anxiety that this kind of an episode can trigger, which can be seen classically as an example of cyber terror. So apart from that, it could also be seen as a potential breach of cybersecurity, because maybe this was not what was intended, but there were some contaminants, spyware, malware, which must have got in somewhere, as a result of which this particular episode would have happened. But please understand, it's very early to comment as to what exactly has gone wrong. Yes, it's going wrong. Therefore, people need to be careful. But extensive investigations will have to be done by national authorities, apart from the concerned companies.
Right. Pawan, we'll just come back to you. Let's just go across to our caller, Amrita, who's joining us from Bengaluru. Amrita, take us through what really happened with you. Have you also faced this outage and a problem, say, on your computer?
Yeah. Hi, ma'am. So this is Amrita from Bangalore. I work for one of the healthcare domain company. So today when I joined to my company, initially I was facing a lot of restart issues, especially this blue screen issue. And when I asked some of my friends from other companies, so they are also facing this issue. So actually we are stuck at our work basically, and we are facing a lot of issues. I don't know when it will be back. Maybe it might be any cyber attack or anything as such, but it is seriously affecting our work also. So yeah, I feel it should be resolved very quickly so that we can continue on our work.
Right. So huge difficulties being faced by people across India. We had a caller from Bengaluru. Now we have a caller from Kolkata as well. And Mitra, take us through the kind of difficulties that you're facing.
Well, actually, I got a message on my mobile phone saying that my income tax return has been processed by the CPC, and this was about 50 minutes ago. But and the intimation has been sent to my registered email ID. But on opening my ID, I find nothing.
Right, definitely this is impacting all kind of financial transactions as well. Let's just get our cyber expert back in to know more on this. Pawan Dogal joining us. Pawan, how does one make sure that there's no cyber fraud when it comes to such situations? How can one safeguard oneself?
Well, let's understand that with our growing realization and growing dependence of the electronic ecosystem, we are bound to take the electronic ecosystem and internet for granted. But please remember, instances like these will keep on reminding you that nothing is permanent. Everything is only a transient or temporary phase. Therefore, let's first have plan Bs in place rather than just only focusing on plan As. Plan A is internet is on 24/7 and we will never have a problem. But that plan may not necessarily work. So plan B is what kind of appropriate processes do you have in place should internet not be working or should these episodes happen? So first and foremost, disaster recovery management becomes important. You must have your data separately, not on the internet, but at a separate location, so that in the event like this happens, at least your operations don't stop. Number two, we will have to start adopting cybersecurity as a way of life, because we still don't know how many systems have been impacted or how many have been contaminated or data has been contaminated. That only time will be able to tell. But if you have backups which are not connected to the internet, at least you are going to be relatively safe. Number three, we will have to start adopting cybersecurity as a way of life as we go forward, asking all stakeholders to start inculcating cybersecurity as part of their day-to-day cyber hygiene methodologies and habits. Number four, we have to be on the lookout of these kinds of episodes happening. If these episodes are happening, we must immediately go ahead and disconnect our computers so that the other computers of the network don't necessarily tend to get impacted. And ultimately,
Pawan, we also have a caller joining us from Mumbai. Abhay joining us. Abhay, what kind of issues are you facing?
So I'm working for
Abhay, we can't hear you too well. If you could just call us back in the meantime, let's just also get in our other caller, Dr. Rahul Bhargav, who's joining us from Ethiopia. Rahul Bhargav, just take us through the kind of inconveniences that are being caused to you due to this outage.
So the outage has disturbed the whole lifeline of a hospital as such, because lots of people have to get registered through for the online payments and across blood testing in the OPDs. And there has been a long queues because of this outage which has happened right now, which is causing the whole inconvenience to the patients who are visiting the hospitals at this present moment of time. And we also don't know when till this what time this outage is going to be rectified so that people can get benefited out of it. So there's a huge line, and this interconnected world, this is a real threat when you're so connected with each other through a digital world. These are the real problems one has to face through in this digital era.
So, Dr. Rahul Bhargav there joining us from Ethiopia. Take us through, how long have you been facing this issue?
So this has been a long pending issue, because the whole idea is that whole digital network, the hospital runs through the EMR system, and all of the things has been digitalized without causing inconvenience to the patient. Now what is happening is the patient, when enters into the hospital, cannot pay because the systems are down. He cannot pay, he gets a consultation, and if the doctor writes some tests, those tests are not being done because those cannot be paid, because the whole system, again the LIS, which is called as Laboratory Information System, as well as the EMR are connected. So at every level, when the whole hospital systems are working digitally, any of these outages can actually lead to whole inconvenience to the patient as such.
Right, Dr. Rahul Bhargav there joining us from Ethiopia. So it is absolutely a problem that the world is facing this morning across the globe, whether it's the United States, Australia, the UAE. Now we have a caller from Ethiopia, doctor, taking us through the problems that hospitals are facing and their lineups and queues being formed because of the systems crashing there. We also have Sahil joining us from let's also just bring in Pawan Dugal. Pawan, you were taking us through, going forward, what is an alternate route in order to avoid such a situation?
Well, there are no absolute alternate routes. We just need to ensure that we put all our eggs not in one basket, but in different baskets, so that in the event one basket would be impacted, the other baskets ought not to be impacted. So again, disaster recovery management will become a very important mantra for people in order to ensure that their operations are up and about as they go forward. So clearly, I think corporates will have to make sure that there are redundancies that are built in to the architecture of the network. They have to make sure that they are simultaneously going ahead and using the services of different vendors, so that in the event one vendor services go down, the other vendor services would promptly come up and will ensure that there is no disruption of business. But ultimately, it's all got to do with awareness of cybersecurity. Today, large number of companies are not focusing the kind of attention and emphasis that they need to give on cybersecurity. And as a result, cybersecurity is a low priority area for the boards. Very quickly, with world seeing different countries coming up with national laws on cybersecurity, I think corporates will have to start ensuring more proactive compliance with applicable legal provisions pertaining to cybersecurity, so that at least they are on the right side of the law. Now, seen from another perspective, this is also
many people might be fearful of what could really happen. I mean, they could lose a lot of business over the next few hours. It's been going on for 5 hours at least, from reports that are suggesting back in the United States, reports suggesting of how flights have been grounded, and it's been at least 5 hours since that. We also have our next caller, Kiran, calling us from Bengaluru. Many people in Bengaluru being affected by this outage. Kiran, take us through the problems that you've been facing.
Bangalore, working in a software company. So from morning I have started my laptop to start to work on that. When I'm connecting to VPN, it's showing VPN is not connected, and suddenly that blue screen issue is appeared. So I thought it's a company-based issue. Then later on I got it's a global kind of Microsoft outage. So I'm a bit scared that time because I'm working on some busy work. That's why suddenly it's restarted. All my work is gone.
Right, so many issues being faced by especially the IT hub of the country. We're talking about the Silicon Valley of India, Bengaluru. So many of our callers calling in from there. In case you're facing any kind of issues at airports, hospitals or elsewhere, do call in to us here at NDTV. For now, we're sipping a very short break. Back with a whole lot more regarding this Microsoft outage. Welcome back. Millions of Windows users across the globe are experiencing the blue screen of death error, which is causing the system to suddenly shut down or restart. Microsoft, in a message, said that the error is being caused due to a recent CrowdStrike update. The bug has affected several companies, banks and government offices. We're talking about hospitals and airlines getting impacted. And to get more on this, we have Pallav Bagla joining us. Pallav, Indian airlines are getting affected, hospitals are getting affected, not just here but across the globe.
When you have any service which is on the Microsoft cloud and uses 365 is likely to be affected, because that is the service from Microsoft which has come down, and there is an outage on that. The global outage on that. Anybody who's not using cloud is safely continuing to work like I am continuing to work normally, because I am not on the cloud. But at the same time, services globally are now increasingly shifting to the cloud, meaning that the data and storage is outside one's own hard disk and one office into services which are controlled by Microsoft. Those are the services which go down. And this is all now part of critical infrastructure. Ideally, Microsoft should have a backup plan to ensure that services don't go down. But we have a problem, we have an issue, if hospitals, airlines, and critical infrastructure gets affected, it is a very serious problem, and one will have to learn from this and make sure that in the future there are backup plans and a plan B and a plan C. So this is all part of cybersecurity, and Microsoft should ideally have ensured that there were backup.
Thank you so much for getting us all those options, considering going forward if there is a second time around. Well, it's Microsoft who's gone on to say that configuration change led to that snag. Preliminary root cause has been identified by Microsoft, and they're working to fix that very issue. With that, we're slipping a short break. Gargi will be here with the very latest on the other side.